Everyday Superpower, where we talk body language, relationships, game, human dynamics, and everything in between. Alright, you dirty dogs. I know why you're here. I know you see the image before you, so don't get too excited, alright? Before we delve into it, two links down in the description. One of them is going to be the catalogue of body language as to where you'll be able to learn how to read people purely through observing their nonverbal behaviours. Second to that is the Patreon, where you'll join me in watching videos of real life first dates. I'll show you attraction and repulsion body language in real time. You'll see it in the world around you. You'll never forget it. I assure you that. So, let's talk. Did she mean to bend over in front of me on purpose? I've done 2 videos about this already, but it always does well. These videos do well because you seem to be fascinated in this particular behavior. There must not be much information on there online in regards to this. So I'm here to cover that once again. We're talking about the bent over posture. I mean, don't get me wrong, we could talk about men because maybe a man is presenting himself in the same way, but generally speaking, we're going to be talking about women doing so, right? So this could be known as a rump presentation. I mean, me personally, I've never used the word rump in my life, but as far as the literature is concerned, one may call it a presentation of the rump, okay? But it's the bent over posture, yeah? Primarily, it's a female posture, and what is done is a bending forward of the waist, clearly facing away from an individual, so their back is turned to you, and the backside, the derriere, is presented in full force. Yes, and you can think, well, what do you mean? How do I know this is intentional? You know, she needed to write on a whiteboard. She needed to pick something up off of her chair. She needed to, yeah, well, she also could have squatted as opposed to bending over at the waist, accentuating her behind to you, because she is in full awareness of who is around her generally, right? Generally, I'm not saying all the time, 24 hours a day, but generally she is aware of who is around her because it is her biological imperative as a woman that she keeps herself alive. And given that this world is full of predators, predatory and strong men, it's her biological imperative to not present herself in an overtly sexual manner, in an intimate manner, in a submissive manner, in a vulnerable manner to the world around her, given that she isn't aware of what's going on. It's a sign of sexual submission. Look at dancing. Look at twerking. When you see that, do you question if it's sexual? This might be non-conscious, do not get me wrong. And don't bring it up unless you are in a space where you can comfortably laugh about it. Don't just say, oh, you just bent over to me. Oh, fucking hell, you got your ass in my face and that. Because she might say, what you on about? What you want? Dependent on what your relationship with her is. She might say, what are you on about? You're mad, you. Why are you even saying that? That's gross. But the truth of the matter is, the non-verbal communication generally speaks through the subconscious, not through the conscious mind. So she might not be aware of what she is signaling to you, but she is regressing back into a primitive state by essentially moving downwards onto all fours, exposing her backside. The original breasts, believe it or not. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean cleavage is a representation and a mirror image of the butt crack. Does that sound ridiculous? Well, do you know what's ridiculous? A bunch of fat on your chest which serves no additional purpose other than to sexually signal. You see, there's some serious game here. Pay attention, right? Women at a bar, given that it's the right environment, if it's a, more heavily populated dance type of bar, women may quite possibly bump into a man as they're dancing with their behind. It sends a clear sexual invitation. Yes? Do you think a woman doesn't think a man will be looking at her ass if she bends over to pick something up? What do school kids do or joke about, or dropping a pen or pencil on the floor so the attractive teacher bends over to pick it up? The reason why this is a great nonverbal indicator of interest and really captures the essence of why men are so confused about women and their signals is because this is so bold yet so ambiguous at the same time. Because it would be silly for you to bring up and say, you just bent over in front of me. You must be sexually interested in me. Well, no. First and foremost, why are you looking at my behind? Second, my back was turned to you. I wasn't even paying attention to you. That's the response, right? So that is why this is a great indirect measure for her body to entice you into making a move with her. The woman indirectly creates the flow of engagement that escalates into relationships. Just we as men are told that it's us who make the first move. Because we are so silly generally, we don't pick up on the multiple signs that are given to us that actually creates that initial opening and indication that we are okay to approach. If you go on social media, at least, hey, if I go on social media, generally speaking, what are women presenting? It's their behind. They know the power of their behind. Women across the world know the power of their behind. It's a meaning of life or death. It's procreation. It's not just a random part of the body. It's not a fetish as a heterosexual man to be interested in a woman's behind. If she bends over in front of you, quite clearly, through her years of existing, it should be quite clear that you could quite possibly have a glance. And if she didn't want that to happen, she wouldn't do so. I've experienced this, and if you want to hear my personal stories, check out the other videos I've done on the rump display. Just search everyday superpower rump display, basically, or bent over posture, or did she mean to bend over in front of me on purpose? And you can hear them. They're long-winded. I'm not saying them all again on this one. But a presentation of the behind on full display is a sexual signal. Whether people say it or not, oh, I just feel comfortable in these clothes. Well, good on you, because a lot of women don't. Right? Because they're not body confident and perhaps insecure, if not perhaps feel it inappropriate to signal their body in that manner, knowing very well the power of such. Yes? If they don't fully understand their motives, their unconscious mind does. There's a desire for sexual attention. And sexual attention you will receive. Hey, you could be a big girl, right? Geez, what does that matter? When you bend over, people are still having a look. And the worst thing about this is a great showcase. This is for a different video, right? But it's a great showcase of like male insecurity when a big girl goes and bends over and people crack a few jokes and that. But it's like the men are still looking. Don't feel so insecure about looking and checking that out. Checking the back off out and that. You know what I mean? Don't start projecting insecurity about it because you like what you see. It's a tease and it's a control. A law of power is to disregard that which you cannot have. So if you feel like you're not in the level with this woman, if you feel like you got better things to do than be, manipulated by this woman, hey, turn your head. Don't give her the power. Don't give her the power. Maybe that might be in your best interest if you genuinely do want to be in a relationship with that woman. Don't allow her to play the cards. Yeah? Out of sight, out of mind. It's a power play. You as a man know what you're doing when you lean over a balcony, perhaps. When you lean over a chair or so forth. If you know that there are people behind you, you know very clearly that you are presenting your behind. And me personally, I can't speak for everyone, but there is a slight discomfort, a vulnerability. Not that anyone's going to go forth and do so, but I say that consciously. I wouldn't be putting myself in such a position because obviously I am consciously confident to do so because my body wouldn't allow me, nor would I choose to position myself in such a manner, given I was uncomfortable or intimidated in such position. But when you action such behavior, not such as the woman I've got on the screen here, I mean, I'm not busting that move out, I'll tell you that. I'm definitely not busting that one out. But if I lean over a desk or something to speak to someone a little clearer, to hear what they're saying and so forth, and I'm there for an extended period of time, yeah, there will be a discomfort because I am in awareness of how my body is in manifest at that particular moment in time. You wouldn't do it in prison, would you? Jeez Louise. But then we move on, and we apply this elsewhere. Why wouldn't you do it in prison? Why wouldn't you go out of your way to present yourself in this manner in prison? Because it's a sexual display. So that only re-emphasizes the message I'm trying to say here. Don't get confused when you see this before you. I mean, pay attention and take into context the environment and, the actual direction as to whether she believes you're actually there or not. She might not be aware of your existence. She might actually think, oh, well, he's behind a computer monitor. It's completely fine. So there's so many questions to ask, but that's why this nonverbal game is a work in progress, because you continue to add things up as you go along and you decipher the patterns and you start to see things as they are, and it never stops. Pay attention. It's submissive, which generally is the feminine display in relation to the dominant man. It is overtly sexual, but the contrast with the back being turned and the face being turned and no eye contact being made, and perhaps it being, actioned to do something completely non-sexual, such as a tying of a shoelace or a picking up of an object or a writing of a whiteboard or so forth, a mixed message will and can be sent. Not in the degree of it being like on the dance floor, that's quite clear, right? What more needs to be said? What more needs to be said? If you want to see our animalistic nature, this is a great display of such. I think this is very animalistic, personally. Yeah? It's a courtship display, it's a indicator of sexual interest, it's a submissive posture. And what more needs to be said? If you have questions, leave them down below. Click the link in the description. And most definitely click like and subscribe. This is The Real Game. I'm signing out. Peace.